Rick Horrow keeping score inside the boardroom if you want to know anything about college football, you got to start at the top. And I'm honored to have somebody who has been a longtime friend but has emerged at the top of his profession with an 18-year tenure as the athletic director of the University of Oklahoma, the Sooners. A couple of little things on his resume: 13 national championships, 74 conference titles, and probably more important than any of that, we'll get into it, Sooner student-athletes, a ninth consecutive semester last year of a cumulative GPA of over 3, and his 10 teams recorded a perfect 1,000 single-year academic progress rate score of 2014, 2015, and all of the programs finished above the NCAA minimum, which he would be proud about. I will tell you that we want to spend a few minutes with Joe Castiglione, and if I do read his extensive bio, we'll have no time for that. So how are you, Joe?
Outstanding, Rick, and it's great to be with you again.
Thank you very much for this. It's an international audience. They need to be inspired by the greatness that is Joe Castiglione. So let me just tell you first that it is a hard job, clearly, to run an athletic department in any context, but certainly one with expectations so lofty as Oklahoma in Norman. Do you wake up every day kind of looking in the mirror and say, they're after me, what do I need to do special today?
I actually wake up excited to come to work because any success that I may have, and I only play a small part, but any success that we have as a university and a program, and of course building upon, literally decades of great tradition, comes with trying to create the world's best student-athlete experience. We have such gifted student-athletes that could go to any other university in America, and they choose to come to Oklahoma. And for a variety of reasons, certainly the academic goals that they have being right up there at the top, but they have also this zeal to perform and to be able to compete against the best, to test themselves and to grow. And so we have to provide all the resources academically, the state-of-the-art facilities, the best coaches, in the country. Again, the opportunity to compete against the best and help them achieve those goals as well. And then, all the while we're trying to prepare them for life after sports. And so that's what gets me jumping out of the bed every morning, because I get a chance to play a small part in their lives, and that's the reason I'm in this line of profession to begin with.
You have a well-rounded group of student-athletes, clearly, and student-athletes who come from the center of the country from all over the world and the United States. And you've had a particularly special year. 16 of your 21 teams go to postseason, 3 national championships, an unforgettable Final Four trip by your men's basketball team, your first time ever to participate in NCAA match play for men's golf. I don't want to do this because I sound too much like a homer, even though we're friends. The bottom line is you don't just run a above-the-fray athletic program, but you run a successful one as well, don't you?
We wanted to give all of our sports a chance to be the best. Certainly universities around the country might, traditionally be strong in one sport or the other, but not necessarily a lot of the sports they sponsor. And at the very least, Rick, I wanted to be able, along with our president and our board, to give our student-athletes a fighting chance to compete for championships, and not just in the sports of football or basketball or the most visible ones, the most talked about ones. And, of course, we've had some incredible success that you mentioned, and I'm not a self-promoter, but people that do measure these kinds of things, like CBS Sports, as an example, voted us the #1 athletic program in America last year. So a lot of people are paying attention to across-the-board success, the kind of progress in the classroom, graduation rates, and then students who are participating in sports, going on beyond sports to be successful in whatever life endeavor they choose. And that's the the total package that we try to create here at Oklahoma.
Well, you arrive on campus in '98. By the way, that's 18 years ago, and we're all getting old. Happy 59th, by the way. Should I say that on the air or not? It's too late.
You just did.
Yeah. Yeah, right. All right. So happy 59th. So 18 years ago, you arrive on campus, and you're the 11th AD. The history at Oklahoma is incredible. You're not an Oklahoman. You're a Floridian. You were at University of Missouri. You're an outsider looking in. You look around and you say, what's the first thing I have to do to keep excellence sustained and to build on it? So what do you do 18 years ago?
Well, there are two things. The first goal was to get everybody on the same page of a vision of greatness, and how we were going to do that. And it was going to be rooted into inspiring champions today and preparing leaders for tomorrow. And again, that's the purpose and why we exist, people that can be successful with us and then go on to be successful in life. And we didn't really have that kind of unity that we have right now. There were a few sports doing well, but not many. Of course, the most notable one, football, was in a real downward spiral. And our budget was in very difficult shape. In fact, it had gotten into an operational deficit of nearly $15 million. And so, obviously you're trying to get people to understand and then ultimately buy into the vision, to embrace the core values that we brought. But we had to identify all the issues. And so when you turn a rock over, you don't get to put it down. You don't get to pretend nothing was under the rock when you lift it up. You got to fix it. And so there were a lot of rocks we turned over and a lot of head-scratching problems, but at least we tried to fully understand what the challenge was and what had to be addressed, and then to make the improvements. And we certainly have been able to do that. And again, the credit goes to great student athletes, to our president, David Bourne, who, by the way, is the one that hired me, and here with Coach Stoops, the three of us, are celebrating 18 seasons together. That's a rare feat in college athletics today, and we're really, really proud of that. And again, that continuity, along with the success of a lot of coaches and people have supported our program, and we've been able to do this now with all private funding. We're paid back that operating debt. We've improved our facilities. We're now helping subsidize the academic budget to nearly $9 million a year, and we're totally self-sustaining, meaning we don't receive any tax support, we don't have any financial subsidy, nor do we have any student fees that go to support athletics. Everything we do, we have to generate ourselves. So the economic engine of football and to some degree men's basketball have made it possible for us to have success in the other 19 sports that we sponsor.
Well, Joe Castiglione, the AD at Oklahoma, that's the magic question, really, because in these days where there is an annual survey about all of the Division I schools and the subsidies that are required, when you come in, there is clearly the deficit you just talked about, and now you publish proudly the $8-9 million surplus, which you then support academics, which is something that is backwards from most universities, and yet you've got the Gaylord family Oklahoma Stadium massive renovation, you got the $7 million improvement to Lloyd Noble, you've got other facilities that I'm sure you'll no doubt talk about. So I could ask how you do it. What's the big challenge for continuing to maintain that surplus?
Well, successful programs help generate it, no doubt about that. And everything that we do is trying to reinvest in our people. But sustainability, Rick, just as you mentioned, is an appropriate concern. Because we go through various changes in our environment, and today's world, there's always going to be challenges, And it's a challenge of keeping your program successful, challenge of keeping people coming to the stadium or the arena or whatever sports venue it might be, dealing with the external environment. Certainly the costs of sponsoring sports continue to grow, and we don't necessarily have full control over the growth of those costs. So you look forward, and the concern is whether we're going to be able to continue to generate more revenue than the expenses that we face. And that's a question. I think it's a very real question. When you look in America, and each year they do surveys, and you might see 20, maybe 25 programs out of all of the athletic programs in America at any level that can say they balance their budget, but only about 5, maybe 6 that say they are totally self-sustaining, meaning they're not depending on some sort of subsidy from somewhere else. That should catch people's attention, and you want to know whether or not that kind of model is sustainable. So it's certainly something that we have to keep our eye on every day.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Castiglione goes from the outsider walking in from Missouri in '98 to, from his own admission, the definitive rock farmer. He turns over all these rocks in the last 18 years. Now he is the 2009 Sports Business Journal Athletic Director of the Year. That's the easy part of the interview. The hard part, let's segue into college football and sports generally for a few minutes. You're on the basketball selection committee, chairing the basketball selection committee. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it, and you might be Commissioner Emmert, but you have that magic wand, what do you fix first? What's broken? Anything broken? Basketball, football? What do you do?
Rick, we've made considerable progress trying to redefine the 21st century student athlete and what amateurism truly is. We've made considerable progress, but we're not there yet. And I think that would be the one area that we need to continue to work on, and get our unique place in sports and society fully understood. It may not please everybody, but it will certainly help us, design our future. And from there, there's so many other things. There are certainly pockets that people would point out that intercollegiate athletics should address. But I think starting first with our student athletes, the reason why we exist is the one I would focus on.
So just a couple more as far as the big-time college athletics. 4-team college football playoff for a while. Do we go to 8? Do we go to 6 with 2 byes? What's the future of that?
I know people say it won't happen, but I really think it will. I don't know if it'll go to 8. I think anything beyond 8 is too many. But I could certainly rationalize 8. I could make a case for 6, in the current system we have. The difference between the 4th and 5th team is many years infinitesimal. I'm certain that people would say the difference between the 8th and 9th team, if we went to 8, would be minor. But I think after 8, it really isn't the very best teams necessarily. There may be teams that are worthy of a playoff, but not necessarily the best. And so I can make the case for 6 or 8, and I think we'll end up getting there. I know they say it won't happen before 24 or 25, but let's allow the system to evolve a little more. We've only had 2 years, and let's allow this to evolve a couple more years, and then I think we'll have a better sample size to make the case even stronger.
Sustaining leadership from the top, just a couple more, and then we're out of here with this. Are you worried about the the recruiting arms race where schools and conferences may allow recruits to be swayed based on more than just school spirit, meaning dollars beyond the basic room and board scholarship? Is that something that worries you down the road and today?
Like I said earlier, we've made some considerable progress with defining what the 21st century student-athlete and amateurism model is all about. We still have some work to do. The big topic right now is addressing the overall time demands, the requirements that student-athletes have to balance their competition in the sport with their academic goals, and allowing them to, grow as people, as we also mentioned earlier in the interview. But, in our case, in college athletics, we really need to get our arms around the so-called arms race, because it doesn't seem to have any end. I know over time things have evolved, and the competition in recruiting always is fierce. But we're again reaching a point where the model that we need to create financial resources may be getting thin. And I know people say, "Oh, what do you mean? You see all these big numbers," but there are many different areas to fund in intercollegiate athletics now, and I think over a period of time, people have put money into facilities and a variety of services for student athletes, which are all great. But there's always the American way and how we can do it better, and using technology and innovation and people being very creative. So, that all costs money, and it just is a matter of how much we can continue to afford.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's put it in perspective. This coming from an athletic director of a school that, if the arms race continues to increase, he would come out on the top of it most times. So here's somebody that's putting the goodwill and welfare of the business ahead of his own individual needs and wants for the betterment of college sports. And then the next question is, and we're almost done with this, is college football and college sports better off than it was 20, 25 years ago when the Supreme Court ruled about the process for television rights relative to antitrust? Or generally, is the college football business better off today than it was when you started at Oklahoma 18 years ago?
In either case, absolutely, 100%. It's not even close. The student athletes, while still facing some challenges and certainly have different needs today than they might have had 18 years ago or 25 years ago, are in a much better place, have much better support, have much better facilities. There's so much more that has been invested in their experience. So it isn't even close, in terms of the quality of the experience. Now, I know you'll say, and some people will say, and you'll hear people criticize one aspect or the other, but if you get on the ground and see, it's remarkably better. And if you don't want to take my word for it, talk to the student athletes that were here 18 years ago or on campuses 25 years ago, and look at what we've been able to do in college athletics to progress. As I've said many times in this interview, we still have a lot of work to do, but we have made some considerable progress, and we have to keep building on it.
And the last question, and this is for an intergalactic audience of trillions, so you better be careful as to how you answer it as far as they want that in the future. You're 59 again for the second time. Happy birthday. What does Joe Castiglione do for the next 59 years?
I'm Italian, and you made me speechless. I don't know how that happened.
Do we leave this one alone or not? I mean, what do you want to say, pal?
You nutty professor, you've got me stumped. Boy. Well, for as long as I can continue to, serve student athletes and serve a university and be in this vocation, that I've chosen, it's just trying to make it better for everyone. Trying to create, the model that can support it all, the structure that allows us to help people become prepared, for life beyond sports, and to compete at the top. That's what we want to do, and we're going to compete with the best, and so we're always monitoring what it takes to be the best. And so, for me, that the process to get there might evolve over time, but the goals will still be the same: to do all that and to do it with class and with integrity.
Not unexpectedly, a typically spectacular Joe Castiglione answer. Rick Horrow keeping score. Be back in a minute.